Today we're diving into the old line state, Maryland. Before you pack your bags and start dreaming of crab cakes and beautiful shorelines, let's pump the brakes a bit. Maryland might have some perks, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows. From a high cost of living to crazy traffic to a downright violent city, there's some solid reasons why you might want to think twice before calling Maryland home. Today we're looking at reasons why Maryland ain't for everyone. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, extreme weather conditions. Maryland's weather is like a Robin Williams old stand-up act. You don't know what's coming next, but you know it's going to be weird. One minute you're basking in the glory of a sunny day, the next you're racing to find an umbrella as the skies unleash a torrential downpour. And that's all before winter starts. It's like Mother Nature can't decide between giving you a blizzard or a spring day in January. If you're planning a visit, remember, pack sunglasses, a raincoat, and a snow shovel just in case. You never know what's going to happen in this state. The facts are, Maryland is known for its humidity levels during the summer. Relative humidity in the summer can range from 60% to 80%, making the heat feel more intense and uncomfortable. Now, snowfall during the winter varies significantly across the state. The western mountainous region receives the most snow, obviously, averaging 20 to 30 inches annually. Central areas, including Baltimore, receive about 20 inches, while the coastal areas receive less, typically 10 to 15 inches. Number 9, the bugs. Maryland is known for its crabs, Old Bay, and of course the insect population that could star in a horror movie. If you ever visit, prepare yourself for the mosquito army. These bloodsuckers are so numerous they could probably unionize and demand benefits. Then there's the cicadas, the loudmouths of the insect world. Every 17 years, they crawl out of the ground like hungover college students looking for breakfast and hair of the dog, making enough noise to drown out a jet engine. So if you've ever thought Maryland's charm was just in its history and seafood, remember, the bugs are part of the experience too. The reason for this is Maryland, like many states, have a humid climate, and this brings on a significant population of various insects and bugs. The most common bugs you will find here are ticks, especially the black-legged tick, also known as the deer tick. They thrive in wooded and grassy areas and transmit diseases like Lyme disease and a few other ones that I can't pronounce. They have the cicadas, like I already talked about, and of course the gypsy moth and their caterpillars. Those may not be a big deal to humans, but they could really affect the health of trees. So if you like to garden, or let's say you buy a little land in Maryland, it's something you need to be aware of. Number 8, the taxes. The taxes in Maryland are higher than a kite at a music festival. It's like the state looked at a monopoly board and said, you know what? Let's make every square boardwalk, okay? You buy a cup of coffee and suddenly you're hit with a tax that makes you wonder if the beans were harvested by a unicorn. Don't even think about buying a house in this state unless you're, I don't know, making an obscene amount of money at whatever you do. Or you're a pirate and you've still got your gold. But Maryland is known for having relatively high taxes compared to other states in the U.S. This includes the state income tax, property tax, and sales tax. Maryland's state income tax is what they call progressive, meaning the tax rate increases with higher income levels. Additionally, counties and Baltimore City impose local income taxes that range from 2.25 to 3.20%, which is added on top of the state rate. Now, the good news is they're slightly below the national average on property tax, which the national average is 1.07, and Maryland it's 1.06. Maryland has a statewide sales tax of 6%. Other taxes include a gasoline tax, cigarette tax, a state tax. They've gone all ham and cheese on the taxes. Number 7, a high cost of living. Living in Maryland is like being in a never-ending episode of The Price is Right, but without having the fun of winning a new car. The cost of living is so high that you might need a second mortgage just to buy a cup of coffee. Rent prices will have you wondering if you're accidentally trying to lease the entire Chesapeake Bay. Grocery shopping feels more like a game of, how much is an avocado? Spoiler alert, it's always too much. What is the deal with avocados? Oh my God, they're just far too expensive. It's incredible. But the cost of living in Maryland is relatively high compared to the national average, primarily due to the high housing costs, taxes, and other living expenses. The cost of living is about 20 to 30% higher than the national average in Maryland. Now, when you look at the median home price of the entire state, that's kind of a broad brush. It varies wildly by region, but just compared to other states, the median home price in January of 2024 was $405,000 in Maryland. At that same time, the national average was $365,000. Utility costs are slightly above the national average in Maryland, and the typical grocery bill for a family of four might be around $850 to $1,100 a month. Number 6, bad and aggressive drivers. Maryland is one of those states that has a lot of traffic, and a lot of traffic usually raises temperatures. Not just in your car, in your brain, and people get out of their car and do a lot of stupid stuff. Maryland ranks 5th in the nation for road rage. And Maryland is often noted as having some of the worst drivers in the United States, according to various surveys and studies. This reputation is based on factors such as accident rates, traffic violations, and driver behavior. Speeding is a serious issue in this state, with nearly 30% of all traffic citations in Maryland related to speed offenses. The national average for that is 22%. Various studies have found that Maryland drivers tailgate more frequently, have frequent lane changes, and of course, like I said, the road rage issue. Running red lights and other forms of reckless driving are frequently observed, especially in urban areas like Baltimore and the suburbs of Washington, D.C. This, of course, means they're going to have higher car insurance, so buckle up for that. Number 5, densely populated. Maryland is so densely populated that you can barely swing a crab without hitting someone in the face. In fact, it's like living in a never-ending game of human Tetris, where every inch of space is a hot commodity and personal bubbles are a thing of myth. Trying to find a parking spot in Baltimore? Good luck. And their population density helps play into their traffic issue. Look at the freeways around Baltimore. It looks like the slowest parade ever. Maryland is the 10th most densely populated U.S. state. In 2023, Maryland's population was approximately 6.2 million people. The state's population density is around 625 people per square mile. A majority of that stat comes from Baltimore. It's the largest city in Maryland and has a population density of over 7,500 people per square mile. I mean, that's how all states are going to be. Their cities are going to be where the most densely populated areas are, and that brings down the whole state. But this is extreme. What's weird is Maryland still has experienced a steady population growth over the last few decades. The state's population increased by about 4.5% from 2010 to 2020. Number 4, strange laws. Maryland's blue laws are like some bizarre game of legal bingo, where Sundays is a free space and the rules are anyone's guess. Imagine trying to buy a pack of gum only to find out that it's prohibited because apparently chewing gum on the Lord's Day might summon a demon or something. Now, they've had a lot of these blue laws on the books going back decades and decades and decades. Some of them haven't been taken off the books. They're still kind of there, but they're really not enforced. Some of them are enforced. Now, are these laws a reason not to want to move to the state? No, but it is kind of telling about how the state is and how the history of the state has been. They're just weird, so I'm going to include them. These are from the state's website. They have some things you can't do to your partner with your mouth on any day of the week. I won't get into the details because I don't want to get demonetized, but that's one of them. In Baltimore, it is illegal to take a lion to the movies. Yes, like King of the Jungle, the lion. You can't take him to the movies. There's actually a law in the books that says that. Here's another one. They passed a law on this. If you are a woman married to a man, it is illegal to go through your husband's pockets while he's sleeping. Your guess is as good as mine to why this is a thing, but it's technically illegal. It's illegal to eat while swimming in the ocean. If you pretend to tell the future in Caroline County, you can be stuck with 6 months and a $100 fine. One I thought was really weird was the right to dry law. This is a thing. I guess HOAs were trying to get rid of clotheslines. You know, you hang your clothes out to dry. Some HOAs were trying to shut this down because they didn't want them because they were ugly. Well, the state passed a law that said they couldn't stop you from having a clothesline. Of course, different counties and different parts of the state have special rules about not buying alcohol on Sundays. That's something to keep in mind. Some of the jurisdictions have relaxed their rules over the years, but they're still on the books. They also have limited hours to buy cars on Sundays, and at one point, and in other states, it's actually illegal to sell cars on Sundays. They also have rules about hunting on Sundays in Maryland. One thing you can do on Sundays when it comes to hunting, an unarmed person participating in organized fox chases may chase foxes on Sundays, but you can't kill them. A few years ago, I was going over blue laws in different states, and at one point in Utah, it was illegal for a woman to disagree with her husband in public. So if strange laws like these are something that bother you, Maryland's got a whole bunch of them. Maybe Maryland's not the state for you. Number 3, too many churches. In Maryland, churches are like Starbucks. There's one on every corner. This place has so many churches, even the squirrels have started wearing choir robes. It's like the state went too far on that motto, one nation under God. You can't walk 10 feet without tripping over a church sign. Maryland has a long history with different churches, mostly Christian. Maryland was founded by Cecil Calvert, the second Lord of Baltimore, as a haven for English Catholics facing persecution in England. The Maryland Toleration Act of 1649 granted religious freedom to all Christians, attracting a diverse array of religious groups. A recent estimate says that Maryland has over 6,000 churches. This is not a big state. They have 6,000 churches. About 69% of Maryland's population identifies as Christian. The breakdown includes this: 15% Catholic, 14% Evangelical Protestant, 11% Mainline Protestant, 13% historically Black Protestant, and 16% other Christians. Number 2, limited transportation. Maryland, even though it has a major city, comes up short when it comes to public transportation. They're actually ranked 44th in the nation. They barely beat Mississippi at 46. This, of course, plays into their whole traffic problem they have. Now, again, majority of the problems here with this one are going to be up in the Baltimore metro area. Get across the bay to the more rural area, you're not going to have this problem. Approximately 75% of Maryland's workforce commutes by car, reflecting a high dependency on personal vehicles due in part to the limited public transportation options in many areas. About 15% of Maryland workers commute to Washington, D.C. and the surrounding area. Now, to give you an idea of how far behind Baltimore is when it comes to public transportation, let's compare Baltimore to a city that's similar in size. Portland, Oregon. Believe it or not, they're really close in population. The city of Baltimore, by itself, not the metro area, has a population of about 585,000 residents. The city of Portland, Oregon has about 652,000 residents. The metro area for Baltimore has about 2.8 million, and Portland has about 2.5 million. The daily ridership, as they call it, in Portland, Oregon is 196,000 people. That's weekdays, first quarter 2024. Baltimore daily ridership, 14,400 people. Again, weekdays, first quarter 2024. There's a bit of a difference. So if you like to ride public transportation, whether it's buses or light rail, Baltimore ain't for you. All right, before we get to number 1, if you're thinking about moving to any city in the United States, not just Baltimore or the state of Maryland, there's a link for a website called Home and Money in the description area below. They can get you in touch with a real estate agent anywhere in the country. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, not a place to retire. Retiring in Maryland sounds like a good idea until you realize you'll be shelling out more on coffee and crab cakes than your grandkids' college tuition. Forget about enjoying the peace and quiet of Maryland because the traffic on I-95 never takes a break, even for retirees. And good luck finding one of those quiet, serene beaches to read a book and relax. Those picturesque shores are more crowded than a Black Friday sale. Just when you think you've escaped to a charming countryside little villa or something like that, you'll be greeted by the delightful scent of chicken farms. Yeah, they're everywhere. So unless you're planning on to retire with a side gig as a traffic cop or a crab fisherman, Maryland might not be your retirement paradise. Only 15% of Maryland's population is over the age of 65. That's slightly below the national average of 17. Now, I got that from their website, but I just read a study recently that said the national average is 18%. that, so take that for what it is. We already talked about how Maryland's more expensive, so it's not a great place to retire. And Maryland ranks 20th in the nation for healthcare quality and 35th for healthcare affordability. And if you don't know, healthcare becomes a big part of your life the older you get. Only like 3% of my viewers are under the age of 20, so most of you already understand that. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you'll probably enjoy one of the 2 videos being suggested right now. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.